Right. Jay-Z and Beyonce being, you know, two of the other 15 people in the room. So that'll just put it into perspective of the type of company I was in.
Right. He put his hands on females, put his hands on producers, executives. That's just his. I guess that's what the whole name Bad Boy comes from. That people don't really understand. What is it? What is a bad boy? Why did he choose that name? You know, like he never really gave a clear definition of how he feels about that name.
Beyonce wasn't just at Diddy's infamous freakoff parties. She allegedly helped run them. That's not just another wild rumor swirling around the internet. It's the explosive claim now being repeated in hip-hop circles, whispered in private chats, and dissected in every corner of social media. And it's not coming from some anonymous forum poster. It's coming from DaBaby, who didn't just hint at it, he said it outright. She wasn't just there. She was recruiting, she was setting it up, she was part of the whole thing. Those words have sent shockwaves through the industry, because if they're true, they don't just rewrite the story of Beyonce's past. They blow up the carefully curated image of music's most powerful couple.
This is the flight where Diddy said to her, he testified that he showed her a video of a freak-off that she participated in and said, if you don't participate in another freak-off when we get to New York, I'm gonna put this video out. I'm gonna send it to your mother.
And that's coercion.
She testified to that.
If the jury
believed her, that's coercion. They would have Cassie.
We've already seen how quickly things can spiral. Just last year, a man who claimed he was sedated and paraded half naked at a Miami gathering in 2015 filed a lawsuit that at first didn't even mention Beyonce's name, but then a line from the court documents leaked. "Why are you in front of me like this?" Words he alleged Beyonce said to him during the ordeal. Her legal team moved fast, providing alibis, getting her name scrubbed from the paper. Case closed, right? Wrong. Because the question isn't just about where she was that night, it's about why her name was there in the first place. And why, after all these years, are insiders suddenly talking? Let's rewind to Cassie Ventura's testimony. She didn't just describe being lured into Diddy's world. She detailed a system, a machine, one where young, ambitious talents were recorded, coerced, and controlled, where private encounters weren't just private, they were leveraged. Sound familiar? Because the allegations from that Miami party paint a strikingly similar picture. Multiple sources have described a scene where guests were allegedly given substances, moved between rooms, and filmed without their knowledge. Cassie's story wasn't just about Diddy, it was about an environment. And if Beyonce was part of organizing those environments, as DaBaby claims, then we're not just talking about attendance, we're talking about complicity.
4 years, 2 months in prison.
Wow.
He served a year, he gets some time. He gets 15% credit, so he'd be at 14-ish.
2.5 years.
2 months.
So, and then he gets another 15% in the remaining.
Yeah.
He's out in 2 years.
Yeah. Should have stuck with the original guest.
I know.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk timing. Diddy's just been sentenced to 50 months in prison after a conviction that shook the industry to its core. But here's what most people don't realize. The feds still have 96 devices seized from his properties, phones, laptops, hard drives, all waiting to be fully analyzed. And while the public focus has been on Diddy's legal fallout, insiders are whispering that Beyonce's name isn't just in one lawsuit. It's in the metadata, in the text, in the conversations that haven't been made public yet. We're not just connecting dots here. We're staring at a pattern.
And I'm not saying allegedly.
Oh. Okay.
I'm saying, Sean Carter, you're a piece of shit. Taking Pimp C wasn't bad enough. You just want to go down there and you want to just remove all of the balls from every real gangster in Houston.
And then there's Jay-Z, the man who built an empire on silence, on control, on never letting the world see the strings being pulled. But right now, those strings might be the only thing holding this story together. Because if Beyonce was involved in these gatherings, the real question isn't whether Jay-Z knew, it's whether he was helping her cover it up. Think about it, Jay-Z's entire career has been about protecting his legacy and his family's. When the assault allegations against him surfaced last December, his response wasn't just a denial, it was a counterattack, calling out the lawyer who filed the suit as an ambulance chaser in a cheap suit. He doesn't just defend himself, he dismantles the threat. So what happens when the threat isn't just aimed at him, but at the woman he spent 2 decades shielding from scandal? And let's not forget how this all started. The baby oil video, the symbolic dumping of bottles onto the pavement. At the time, it looked like just another stunt, another artist riding the wave of Diddy's downfall for clout. But then the comments section exploded. Fans started digging, old photos resurfaced, connections were made, and suddenly, the joke didn't seem so funny anymore. Because if you look at the timeline, the video dropped just as the Miami lawsuit was gaining traction, just as Beyoncé's name was being quietly erased from the documents. Coincidence? Maybe. But in an industry where every move is calculated, coincidences don't exist.
But after that major documentary comes out on Diddy, then you're going to start to hear more and more about Jay-Z and his nefarious.
And then there's the silence, the deafening, deliberate silence. Beyoncé hasn't addressed any of this. Jay-Z hasn't either. Their team hasn't issued a statement. In any other situation, that might not mean much, but this isn't any other situation. This is a moment where the walls are closing in, where the things that were once only whispered about in private are now being screamed from the rooftops. And the longer they stay quiet, the louder those screams get. We've seen this playbook before. When the allegations against R. Kelly first surfaced, it took years for the public to fully turn on him. But once the dominoes started falling, they didn't stop. And right now, the dominoes are lining up. Diddy's conviction was just the first. The lawsuits are piling up. The feds are still digging. And if Beyoncé's name is tied to any of it, if there is even a fraction of truth to what DaBaby and others are saying, then this isn't just a scandal. It's an extinction-level event for the Carters' legacy.
I mean, let's just be real for a second. There are a lot of lawyers who call this legal extortion, and that this is the way the legal system works, which is you threaten somebody with reputational harm. And in this case, it's interesting that Jay-Z, who's very wealthy, said it would be financial ruin.
But here's the thing about power couples like Jay-Z and Beyoncé. They don't survive this long by accident. They survive by knowing exactly where the bodies are buried. And if there's one thing we've learned from watching them over the years, it's that they don't just react to threats, they neutralize them. So when we see Jay-Z's name pop up in a demand letter from a lawyer representing one of Diddy's accusers, when we hear rumors that he's been quietly pressuring people to back off, when we notice how certain stories suddenly disappear from the news cycle, we have to ask ourselves, what are they so desperate to keep hidden? And that brings us back to the parties, the freak-offs, the gatherings that were supposedly just industry networking events, but that witnesses have described as something much darker. Cassie's testimony gave us a glimpse into how Diddy operated, how he used his influence to create a world where the rules didn't apply. But if Beyoncé was part of that world, if she was helping to run it, then this isn't just about Diddy's crime, it's about an entire system of complicity, one that involved some of the biggest names in music, one that, if exposed, could bring down more than just one man.
And what's really going to be interesting is the parade of celebrities who we expect to be mentioned and or called into that courtroom. You know, people who we hadn't heard about prior, like Mike Myers, you know, Austin Powers, Mike Myers. Why is he getting called? Why is he on the witness list? That'll be fascinating. And then, of course, there are the no-name, quote unquote, women who are going to have to find every ounce of courage they have.
We're not just talking about rumors anymore. We're talking about a lawsuit where a man claims he was sedated, moved against his will, and forced into a situation where Beyoncé herself confronted him. We're talking about DaBaby, someone with firsthand knowledge of the industry, saying she wasn't just a guest, but an organizer. We're talking about federal devices that haven't been fully analyzed yet. And we're talking about Jay-Z, a man who has spent his entire career making sure no one ever gets close enough to threaten what's his. So when we ask if Beyoncé was involved, we're not just asking if she was in the room, we're asking if she was part of the machine. And if she was, then the question isn't just about what she did, it's about what Jay-Z knew, what he allowed, what he helped cover up. Because in a world where power is everything, the most dangerous secrets aren't the ones you keep from the public, they're the ones you keep from each other.
Dishonest, violent, horrible. A promiscuous swinger who lied to and cheated on multiple partners. Incredibly, that's how Sean Diddy Combs' own lawyers described the billionaire music mogul, currently facing serious sex trafficking charges in a New York court.
And right now, the public is watching. The lawsuits are coming, the feds are still digging, and the Carters, they're silent. But in Hollywood, silence isn't golden, it's guilty. And if there's one thing we know about Jay-Z, it's that he doesn't stay silent for long, unless he's got something to hide. So what happens when the man who built an empire on control starts to lose it? What happens when the secrets he's spent a lifetime burying start to surface? And most importantly, what happens when the world realizes that the queen he spent 2 decades protecting might be the one thing he can't save? We're about to find out, because this story, it's only just beginning. And if the past few weeks have taught us anything, it's that the truth has a way of coming out, no matter how much money, power, or influence you throw at it. So buckle up. The ride's about to get a whole lot rougher. And by the time it's over, nothing and no one will look the same. While Beyoncé's team scrambled to scrub her name from the Miami lawsuit, DaBaby didn't back down. He went further, calling her a key player in Diddy's inner circle. And here's the thing, when someone with DaBaby's industry connections makes a claim like that, it's not just talk. It's a signal, a flare sent up to say, we're not done digging yet. Because if we look at the pattern, it's impossible to ignore. The 2015 Miami gathering, the 2000 after-party allegations, where Jay-Z was named in a lawsuit before it was dropped. Cassie Ventura's $20 million settlement, sealed under an NDA so tight, it might as well be welded shut. And let's not forget those 96 devices, still in the hands of federal investigators, waiting to be fully analyzed. Each piece isn't just a scandal, it's part of a system. A machine that allegedly operated for years with layers of protection, silence, and complicity.
Weirdo. I don't get no what you got in your head, that neural link. You'll never outthink me. Ever.
And then there's the way the Miami lawsuit just disappeared. One day, Beyoncé's name was in the documents. The next, it was gone, erased like a typo, as if it had never been there at all. Her team provided alibis, witnesses, proofs she wasn't at the party. But here's the question no one's asking. If she wasn't there, why was her name ever mentioned in the first place? And if she was there, what exactly was she doing that someone felt the need to include her in a legal filing about coercion and private encounters? Because in a world where every word in a lawsuit is scrutinized, every name is there for a reason. And when that name gets removed, it doesn't just vanish, it leaves a shadow. Now let's talk about the image. Beyoncé isn't just a superstar, she's an icon, the feminist anthem singer, the mother, the queen of pop culture, who spent years crafting a brand built on empowerment, discipline, and flawless control. She's the woman who turned Lemonade into a cultural moment, who stood on stage at Coachella and made history, who built an empire on the idea that women should own their power. So how does that same woman allegedly spend 2 decades moving in the same circles as a man now convicted of running what prosecutors call a criminal enterprise? How does the queen of female empowerment allegedly help organize gatherings where young, ambitious talents were recorded, manipulated, and silenced? The contradiction isn't just shocking, it's impossible to ignore.
The feds, Al Capone style, have not charged everything under the sun. They've charged 3 main charges: racketeering, trafficking, and the transport of a. And I'll tell you, I don't know about the racketeering charge. It's pretty sweeping, and I'll tell you what the general elements are.
And it's not just about Beyoncé. It's about the entire industry. Because if DaBaby's claims hold even a grain of truth, then we're not just talking about one woman's alleged involvement. We're talking about a culture of complicity. A system where the biggest names in music, film, and entertainment didn't just turn a blind eye, they participated. They benefited. They stayed silent. And if Beyoncé was part of that system, then the question isn't just about her. It's about how many other A-listers were in the room. How many knew? How many are still protected by NDAS, by fear, by the unspoken rule that some secrets are too dangerous to tell? Let's not forget the wider context here. Diddy's conviction wasn't just a personal downfall, it was the first domino. And when the first domino falls, the rest don't just wobble, they crash. We've already seen it happen before. Look at Harvey Weinstein, look at R. Kelly, look at the way entire industries were forced to reckon with the dark side of power. The difference here? Diddy's world wasn't just Hollywood, it was hip-hop, it was the music industry. It was a scene where loyalty is everything, where snitching is the ultimate sin, and where the code of silence isn't just strong, it's sacred. So when someone like DaBaby starts talking, it's not just gossip. It's a breach, a crack in the foundation. And once that crack appears, the whole structure starts to tremble.
I believe that it opens yourself up to some negligence claims. Again, I don't know if Jay-Z is going to go that far, but certainly I think it does open himself up to some negligence claims. Maybe that was part of the reason why he dismissed with prejudice. I don't know.
And then there's Jay-Z, the man who's spent his entire career playing chess while everyone else plays checkers. The strategist, the protector, the guy who doesn't just react to threats, he eliminates them. So when we see his name pop up in a demand letter from a lawyer representing one of Diddy's accusers, when we hear whispers that he's been quietly pressuring people to back off, we have to ask, what is he so desperate to keep buried? Because Jay-Z doesn't just defend his reputation, he controls it. And if he's moving pieces behind the scenes right now, it's not because he's scared of a little bad PR, it's because he knows what's coming and he knows it's bigger than him.
And why he's speaking out now.
He said he's speaking out because he believes Diddy's a predator. He wants accountability and he doesn't want someone like this to run unchecked in the future.
We've seen this before too, the way powerful men use their influence to make problems disappear, the way lawsuits get settled quietly, the way accusers suddenly change their stories, the way entire narratives get rewritten overnight. But here's the thing about 2025, the internet doesn't forget, the receipts don't disappear. And the more Beyoncé's team tries to erase her name from these scandals, the more people are going to wonder why it was there in the first place. And that brings us to the real question. What happens when the next accuser doesn't back down? What happens when the next lawsuit isn't so easy to erase? Because right now, Beyoncé's team might have gotten her name off one legal document, but the feds still have those devices. The witnesses are still talking, and the public, they're watching. They're connecting the dots, and they're starting to ask the one question that no amount of PR spin can answer. If she wasn't involved, why is everyone so desperate to make sure we never find out?
Responsible for Diddy's day-to-day life, so he is able to provide a lot of information about what that life was like. He goes into detail on extensive drug use.
This isn't just about one party in Miami. It's not just about one lawsuit or one rapper's claims. It's about a pattern, a system, a machine that allegedly operated for years, with some of the biggest names in the world pulling the strings. And if Beyoncé was one of them, then this isn't just a scandal. It's the unraveling of a legacy, because you can't spend 20 years building an empire on female empowerment and then allegedly spend just as long helping to run a world where young women were the ones paying the price. The math doesn't add up. And sooner or later, the public is going to demand an answer. So here's where we leave it. Beyoncé's team got her name off one lawsuit, but the story isn't over. The devices are still out there. The witnesses are still talking. And the next accuser, they might not be so easy to silence. So we've got to ask, what happens when the truth finally catches up? When the NDAS expire, the devices get unlocked, and the people who've stayed silent for years finally decide to speak. Because one thing's for sure, in a world where power is everything, the most dangerous secrets aren't the ones you keep from the public. They're the ones you keep from each other.
What I've heard about them as a couple is that they've been living separate lives for a very long time.
And that is where this gets real. So drop a comment below. Do you think Beyoncé's team can keep this buried, or is the truth about to blow the lid off everything? Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next bombshell. Because if there's one thing we know, it's that in Hollywood, the biggest secrets always find a way to the surface. Stay sharp, stay curious, and as always, keep it real. We'll see you in the next one.